everyone, it's Sarah. Welcome to another card making video. Today I'm going to show you how I do the technique that I call the roll around technique, and that's done on this image right here. And what that is where you have a lighter color in the center and then a darker color around your edges. And I'm going to show you how I made the whole card, but I wanted to highlight on that technique because I think that it's really fun and it's really simple to do. So let's go ahead and get started. For your roll around technique, you want to use glossy white cardstock, and I like to use glossy cardstock because I think that it gives it that nice shine. And you want to use two different color inks, a lighter color and a darker color. So I'm using the Daffodil Delight and the Pumpkin Pie. And when you're doing this technique, you want to make sure that you use the lighter color first, because you don't want to take your image and ink it in the darker and then put it in your lighter color, because then it'll mess up your ink pads. So for the image today, I'm using the Stamp Set Mixed Bunch, and I'm going to be using that flower right there. So I'm going to take my image and I'm going to ink it up really good in the Daffodil Delight, so my lightest color. Then I'm going to take my darker color, the Pumpkin Pie, and I'm just going to roll the edges in the pumpkin pie. Just like that. And then stick it on my cardstock. And there you go. There's the roll around technique. It's lighter in the middle and then darker on the outside. So because we used the glossy white cardstock, we're going to set that aside and let it dry, because we don't want to stick it into our punch when it's wet, because then it'll smear the ink. So let's go ahead and assemble the rest of our card. So the card that I'm making is just a standard size card. It's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And I'm using two different color in colors. I'm using the Pool Party, which is cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and the Indigo Blue, and I cut this at 2 1/2 by 5. So we're actually going to do another technique that I like to do, which is called tone on tone. And with that, you want to take the same color ink pad as your cardstock. So we're taking the Pool Party ink, and I'm using the same image from the Mixed Bunch set. And I'm just going to ink my image up and then stamp it randomly around my paper. And I'm not going to worry about putting it in the center, because the Island Indigo is going to cover that up. And I love doing this technique too, or doing any image on a backing paper, because it's like you're making your own DSP, and I just think that that's very fun and original, so because you can make it however you want. So there's our backing piece with the tone on tone. Now I'm going to take my Island Indigo and my mini glue dots and my white baker's twine, and that's how I'm going to get this right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a mini glue dot, and I'm just going to stick it on the back of my cardstock, just like that. Take the end of my baker's twine and stick the end of it right there on the glue dot. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to wrap this around until I get the look that I want. So I'm going to crisscross it around. There, that looks good. And then I'm just going to stick this back down on that same glue dot. Take my snips and cut off the excess. And then there's that. Now the sides are not secured down so you can move them around until you get the look and the space in between the twine that you want. So that looks good to me. So now I'm going to take my backing piece and I'm just going to run my snail over it. And I'm going to put it on my card base right here. And there we go. Take my Island Indigo and stick that down too. And I just think that this Island Indigo and this Pool Party, I think that the colors just look amazing together. I think they look so pretty. Put that in the middle as best as possible. And we all know me, I'm never center, so that looks good to me. Now we're going to take our roll around image, and I'm using the Blossom Punch, and I'm just going to slip this in there and punch out the image. There we go. Take my glue dot, or I'm sorry, my dimensionals. I don't think glue dots would work for this. I don't think that they would give them that puff that we're looking for with our image. Now we're going to take the backings off. There we go. And then we're just going to stick the image wherever we want. And I think I'm going to stick mine right there in the center again. And now what I like to do with this too, I'm big on dimension, is I like to just puff my petals up. Just kind of squish them in until I get that look that I want. So see, it's kind of puffed up. So there we go. Now for the saying that I'm using today, I'm using the Wordplay stamp set, and you get 2 sets with this. And I'm using this saying right here, the ick saying, feel better soon. How adorable is that? And with this stamp, I'm just going to use a piece of scrap Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to stamp my image in the pumpkin pie again. So get that nice and coated, and just put that on there. There we go. Now I'm going to take my extra large oval punch, and I'm just going to punch that out. And there we go. Take my dimensionals again, if I can find where I put them. Put a couple on there. Take the backings off. And then stick our saying down right there. And that's it. That's the finished card with the roll around technique. So I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, happy inking!